Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is AMX Sports with another football video, and today I'm going over my NFC North predictions for the 2022 NFL season. I've been doing this series on the channel for 3 years now. This is my third year doing it. My predictions have gone pretty well. I think last year I got almost 70%, and this is the 6th video in the series this year. I'm excited for this one. The NFC North, arguably one of the worst divisions in the league this year. The Packers lost Davante Adams. The Vikings are still the Vikings. And the Lions and Bears, the Bears are in decline. I think the Lions might be on an uptick. But in this video, I'm going to be going over each of the teams, all of their games, and trying to see which ones I think are going to do the best. First off, we have the Chicago Bears. I have the Bears going 2-15. I think that the Bears are in the running with a few other teams, including the Seahawks, the Falcons, and the Texans as the worst team in the league. Last year, the Bears had an okay record, but it was nothing impressive. And they've had their best times with Mitch Trubisky over the last 4 years, and he is no longer with them. After losing Allen Robinson and some defensive players, I have the Bears going 2-15. They have a very hard schedule to begin with. They're playing the San Francisco 49ers week 1, Packers week 2. I have them losing to both the Texans and the Giants, even though I think that they might be able to win one of those games. I have them losing to the Vikings. I have them losing to the Commanders, the Patriots, the Cowboys, and the Dolphins. So I have them going 0-9 before getting their first win against the Lions. Out of their first 9 games, I think that all of the teams that they're playing are better than them, except for arguably the Texans. I think that the Texans game is a toss-up, but I needed to give it to someone. And then for the Giants, I think that the Giants have a slightly stronger team. I think that Daniel Jones is a little bit more experienced than Justin Fields, even though it isn't a lot of great experience. And I think he does have slightly better weapons overall with Sterling Shepard and Saquon Barkley. The Giants' defense is also on an upward swing towards the end of the last season. The Bears' defense is declining every single year since like 2016 when it was at its peak. I have the Lions and Falcons both as wins for the Bears. I think that the Lions are a better team than the Bears for this upcoming season. I think that Jared Goff is going to turn things around. I think that the coach is fostering a good environment for the team. And I think that overall the Lions are going to have an improved season from last year. I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown and the connection with Jared Goff is going to be very strong. But I don't think that the Lions will sweep the Bears. I think that they'll probably go 1-1. As for the Falcons, I have the Falcons losing to them as well. I think Atlanta arguably is the worst team in the league coming up this year because they lost Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was keeping that team afloat for the last 5 seasons. They didn't have a Super Bowl caliber team when they went to the Super Bowl. Their defense really stepped up in the playoffs, but Matt Ryan really did a lot for the Falcons when he was with them. Now that he's gone, Cordell Patterson is literally the only good player they have on their entire team, except for Kyle Pitts, and that's not a lot. That's not a lot of good players, especially if their quarterback is they don't even know who their quarterback is yet. Marcus Mariota, we'll see. So I have them beating the Falcons. I have them losing to the Jets, one of the Jets' only wins of the season. I have them losing to the Packers, Eagles, Bills, Lions, and Vikings. Overall, it's a pretty tough schedule. A lot of playoff teams or playoff contenders in there, and then their own division, who I think all are better than them. At 6-11, we have the Detroit Lions. I think that the Lions are going to have an okay season, better than last year at the very least. I have them losing to Philadelphia week 1. I have them beating Washington week 2. I have them losing to the Vikings week 3, beating Seattle week 4, and losing to the Patriots week 5. Basically, for the first 5 weeks, I have them beating the teams that I think that they're better than and losing to the ones that I think that they're worse than. I think that with Carson Wentz overtaking as the Commanders' quarterback, they're not going to be very good. Alex Smith was pretty much the only person that made that team work. And I don't see Carson Wentz coming in there and making them any better, especially because their defense was on a decline last year. I have them losing 4 in a row to the Cowboys, Dolphins, Packers, and Bears. 3 of those teams I think are serious playoff contenders, and then the Bears are the Bears. I have them beating the Giants, losing to Buffalo and the Vikings. Actually, I thought I had them splitting with the Vikings. Yeah, I do have them splitting with the Vikings. I did math wrong. I have them. I have them winning the second matchup against Minnesota. So I have them going 7-10. Sorry about that. I have them going 7-10. I have them beating the Jaguars. And I have them beating the Jets, losing to the Panthers, beating the Bears, and losing to the Packers. Overall, I think that they could be able to get a game over the Packers because it is a divisional matchup, and the Packers and the divisional matchups in this division are always insane. But overall, I think they'll split the Bears. I think they'll split the Vikings. I think that they'll lose twice to the Packers. The Panthers will be a crucial game for draft seeding because I think that the Lions and Panthers are probably going to have similar records. If the Lions have 5 wins at the time or 6 wins and the Panthers have 4 wins at the time, whoever loses that game will get better draft positioning. I think that the Lions might try and lose a game toward the end of the season to get better draft positioning if they're not in the playoff run. I think that the Panthers are going to try and win as many games as they possibly can, so I think that could be an upset, but I do think the Lions have a better roster than the Panthers right now. Moving on, we have the Vikings at 8-9. I have the Vikings winning 8 games next season. Kirk Cousins notoriously is within 1 game of 500 every single year. So my 2 choices were 8-9 or 9-8. Can't really go a lot higher or lower than that. They did have that 1 year that they went 10-7 and they made it to the NFC Championship game. But either way, the Vikings are a very strong team that, in my opinion, underperforms my expectations. I have them winning the first 3 games of the season to the Packers, the Eagles, and the Lions. They always win 1 game against Green Bay, whether it's at home or in Green Bay. Doesn't matter, they always win 1 game. I have them beating the Eagles, and I have them beating the Lions. Week 4 against the Saints, I have them taking a loss. I think that the Saints are going to be a lot stronger this year than a lot of people are expecting. So I think that that'll be marked off as a loss. I have them beating the Bears, and then losing to the Dolphins and the Cardinals. I have them beating Washington and losing to the Bills to round off their first 9 games, bringing them to 5-4. Pretty much, I have them beating every team that's borderline or not playoff, and I have them losing to all the playoff teams except for the Packers. I have them losing to the Cowboys and the Patriots, although I think that the Cowboys might be a close matchup. The Patriots and Vikings are similar talent-wise, but I think that the Patriots just always have beaten the Vikings in recent matchups. I think the last 4 or 5 in a row have gone to the Patriots, even when we haven't had the best team in the league. I have the Jets winning. I have the Vikings beating the Jets, and I have them losing to the Lions, splitting with the Lions, even though I think that they do have a considerably better roster than the Lions. I do have them splitting because this division has some of the best divisional matchups in football. I have them losing to the Colts. I have them beating the Giants, losing to the Packers, and beating the Bears. So once again, mostly it's divided between beating the non-playoff teams and losing to the playoff teams, except splitting with the Lions and Packers. Generally speaking, that's where I'm going with the Vikings, and that's where I went with the Eagles this year, because they're both those types of teams where it's kind of hard to predict an upset, because you don't know who they'd upset, but you know they're going to upset someone. I think they'll probably finish 9-8, maybe 10-7, but I don't see them make it. They could make the playoffs in the NFC if the NFC really is as bad as I think it's going to be, but they could be fighting for a playoff spot in that second Packers game or in that Colts game, and that could help them turn on the Jets and win, or maybe even win the second Lions matchup too. Last but certainly not least, we have the Packers at 12-5. A lot of people might criticize me for this, but I think that the Packers are not going to be quite as dominant this year as they have been in previous seasons. They went 13-3 the last 3 years in a row. I have 14-3 last year. I have them losing 5 games this year. Mostly because of the loss of Devontae Adams and not being able to sign on all of their defensive players again for next season. I have them losing week 1 to the Vikings, beating the Bears, losing to Tampa Bay, and then beating the Patriots and Giants week 4 and 5. I think the Patriots matchup is going to be very interesting because I think that it'll be a tight game. I do think that Green Bay has the advantage because of Aaron Rodgers' experience, but it's basically a playoff game. And I think that that's going to be one of the closest games for the Packers this year. I have them beating the Jets and Washington very easily. I have them losing to Buffalo. I think that Buffalo has a superior team in a lot of different ways. They have better weapons. They have a better defense. Whether Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen is better is a big toss-up. I think the Buffalo's team overall is considerably stronger than the Packers going into the season. I have the Packers beating the Lions both games, beating the Bears both games. I have them beating Dallas. I have them losing to Tennessee. Last year, the Packers defense was very strong, but I think that Derrick Henry is going to have a very good game against them. I think that he performs well against good teams. He's shown that in the playoffs and some of the playoff games that he's been in, and I think that this will be one of those games. I have them beating the Eagles and the Bears, and then rounding off the season by losing the Rams, and then beating the Dolphins, Lions, and Vikings. The Rams game will be interesting because obviously the Packers might not be in the fight for the 1 seed, but they'll still be in the mix. They'll be 9-4 at the time, which is in the mix for the 1 seed, especially in the NFC. And if they could beat the Bills, Titans, or Bucks in one of those games previously, then they could be 10-3, and then they'd really be fighting for the 1 seed or the 2 seed. Either way, playoff positioning will be crucial in that game. I just think that the Rams team is just so overpowering. They had all those players last year. I thought there was no way they'd keep everyone, and then they did, except for Odell and one of their defensive players, Von Miller. But they got Bobby Wagner, so either way. I think the Packers are going to have a very strong season. I don't see them doing a whole lot based off of how last year's playoff run went, but once again, that's only one game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really excited for this football season, and I'm excited for the rest of this week where I don't have school and I don't have work, so I just can kind of make YouTube content for you guys and enjoy it and enjoy the preseason. So hope you guys are liking the extra content. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.